Lab. This time we are live from DevNexus 2024. That's my favorite Java conference in the world throughout the year, and I guess my guests as well. And I have the honor to host the first guest of the day of the conference is Matt Raible.
Hello.
The person and the legend. Hey, Matt.
Howdy.
Great to see you. Great to see you, DevNexus. How is DevNexus?
Oh, it's awesome. Like, there's so many people here, right? And the energy, you can just feel it.
Yeah. So, as you all know, in Propulsion Lab, we are talking about developer productivity in general. And here, what do we do for developer productivity?
I create or help maintain this project called JHipster.
Wait, not the engineering, the other, we sleep. Good night sleep.
So I know that because when I was younger, I was focused on like, how do you become a more productive developer, right? Use certain tools, use certain techniques, but really now that I'm older, get a good night's sleep. Exactly. Number one tip for developer productivity.
That's absolutely true. But we talk about developer productivity engineering, and this is where we get to tools.
Right.
Now, you just mentioned you did a lot of research on that. Share with us some of that. What are you doing for developer productivity engineering? What your research yielded, and where did you take it?
Well, a lot of times, you know, back in the day, 20 years ago, it was a situation where you needed like a way of creating a brand new project, right? And so I created something called AppFuse, and back in the day that was pretty popular for marrying like struts and Hibernate and Spring, and people used it just to see how you might develop a monolith. Well, nowadays we use microservices, and so that's where JHipster kind of came into play, and it does, you know, React to Vue and Angular front end, microservices on the back end, but what I really like about it is it shows people what a good architecture might look like, right? And then we actually use on the JHipster project, what do you call it, the velocity? It's hard to say, right? It's a tough word. But we use it to optimize our builds and test the project.
Velocity for developers? The velocity. Here we go. You got it. Yeah. So, and this is kind of a meta productivity.
Right.
You use the velocity to be productive while developing tools for developer productivity.
Right.
So, JHipster, you said it's kind of a how do you say it, opinionated framework for creating the right architecture up front to start with something that is already designed right.
And it's almost like a meta framework, right? Because it's really just packaging up other frameworks, right? Spring Boot and Angular, for instance. And then if you do need to do microservices, then maybe Spring Cloud comes into it, right? But it kind of depends on what kind of app you want to write. But what I see a lot of times in companies is they already have like apps, and they don't create new apps that much, right? So in that case, JHipster can just be like something you look at as a model, right? Rather than actually, you know, creating brand new apps with it, right? You want to know how to do WebSockets with Spring Boot, right? Create a new JHipster project with WebSockets in it, and boom, there you go.
So if I want to learn from JHipster, the way is to just create a vanilla app and look how it's done, or there is some way that I can learn without actually like creating an app, maybe like a documentation that describes it or something like that.
Yeah, there's pretty good documentation. There's tutorials out there, right? We have some videos and stuff like that that you can watch and learn about, and you know, you just search for Matt Raible JHipster, you'll find a bunch of stuff.
Right, and how active is it? I know that it was like all the rage a couple of years ago, and then it frankly kind of disappeared from my view, but maybe I just didn't pay attention.
Well, I think a lot of it is actually like internal development. So we have this guy Marcelo now he's a JavaScript wizard. He works on the Yeoman project, and he's kind of helped us out a fair amount. And a lot of the leaders kind of went on to other stuff, right? And so I just became a project lead 2 weeks ago, and so I did my first release this week, and so I feel like now that I'm one of the ones asking for releases a lot, and now that I can control that, hopefully we get back to where we were. But we're at like 25,000 downloads a week right now, so it's clicking pretty good.
Yeah, all right. And obviously you became, 2 weeks ago, you became a leader because you have more capacity now, I guess?
It was kind of like I asked for it, right?
Yeah.
Basically saying like, can I get a release before DevNexus because I want to demo some stuff.
And then go ahead and do it.
Right, here you go, you can do it.
Okay, all right.
Which is great for developer productivity. Me as a developer, I can control my own destiny now, right?
Here we go. I guess it's too early to ask what's next for Matt Raible.
Skiing next week in Utah.
All right.
I don't know what company I'll work for, right? I might go back to work for myself. Before I, had this last full-time gig, I was an independent consultant for 20 years, and I really enjoyed that because oftentimes I would be hired to come in and show companies what they could do if they didn't make their developers sit in meetings.
Ah, here you go. Speaking about
So
developer
two things,
productivity.
yeah, sleep well, cancel the meetings.
This is on like the people stuff, like soft skills and stuff. But on the engineering stuff, use JHipster to get set it up right to begin with.
But just to look what it might look like, right?
Yeah,
Neil Ford mentioned in his keynote this morning, Arch Unit, right, which you can use for Java, and we already have that built in, right?
Yeah.
There's already an Arch Unit test that verifies your layers aren't talking to each other like they
Very
should
cool.
be, right?
And by the way, if you didn't see the keynote this morning, I think the recording should be out because it definitely was recording. Neil Ford does what Neil Ford does. It was
you can
pretty
catch
awesome.
him at another conference.
But
if you missed this one.
it was pretty awesome. So don't miss it. And with that, Matt, thank you very much. It was a pleasure as usual. We just spoke about how we're going to come to each other's jugs.
Jugs, right?
So keep an eye for that. We will host Matt in, I hope, Knoxville and Nashville Jug in a couple of months. And I hope to find time to come to Denver and Boulder.
Yeah.
And kind of return a favor, or maybe own a favor if it's going to happen before.
There you go.
Matt, thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.